Right now, a Sun Prairie West High School staff member is in custody after an investigation into sex crimes. Plus, the Department of Justice interviews Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell for a second day. Here are new reactions from President Trump and what he's saying today about Fed Chair Jerome Powell. This is News 3 Now at noon. And thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Arman Rahman. Josh has the day off. We begin with a high school sex crimes investigation. Police say a former dean of students at Sun Prairie West High School arrested for multiple sex crimes and will be formally charged on Monday. It comes after we learned about an investigation back in June. Police arrested Robert Gilkey Meisgeier yesterday. They say they are recommending he face more than 50 charges related to child pornography. That includes possession of virtual child pornography, 49 counts of possession of child porn, 2 counts of sexual exploitation of a child, and failure to report to the Sun Prairie police chief. Now, the police chief says some interactions with the suspect and victims were both on and off campus.
The best categorization is high school age, people that are associated to West High School, students of West High School. Some of these victims were students at West High School.
And the Sun Prairie police chief says there could be more arrests coming in this case. The father of the Abundant Life school shooter will go to trial. That comes after a preliminary hearing where the judge found enough evidence to move forward. Jeffrey Rupp now faces 1 count of contributing to child delinquency and 2 counts of intentionally selling a dangerous weapon to a person under 18. Lawyers from both sides questioned a City of Madison detective on the stand. And the victim of a shooting on Madison's north side is dead after spending several days in critical condition. Madison police arrived at an apartment building on the Schlimgen Avenue early Tuesday morning and found a 30-year-old man with gunshot wounds. He was transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries and was in critical condition as of Tuesday afternoon. Multiple people have been detained, including a person of interest. A gun was also recovered from the apartment unit that was searched on Tuesday. Detectives are still investigating whether it was the weapon that was used in the shooting. And a man is now in custody and facing charges in a Wisconsin Dells shooting that injured 1 person. Wisconsin Dells police say Chicago police arrested the suspect late last night. He's now facing charges of first-degree attempted homicide. Police say the shooting happened Wednesday near the roundabout at US 12 and Fitzgerald Road. Officers found 1 person with a gunshot wound. EMS took that victim to the hospital, but their current condition has not been released. That investigation remains active. And the first Democrat is now officially entering the race for Wisconsin governor. This after Governor Tony Evers announced yesterday he will not be running for re-election next year. Today, Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez announced she is joining the race. Rodriguez has been lieutenant governor since 2023 after previously serving 1-year term in the state assembly representing suburban Milwaukee, where she lives. She won a seat that had been under Republican control for years. Rodriguez emphasized her background working previously as a nurse in a Baltimore emergency room. She put an emphasis on fighting to protect reproductive freedom, invest in public schools, and rebuild the economy. Meanwhile, on the Republican side, so far, Washington County Executive Joe Schuman and suburban Milwaukee businessman Bill Berrien are the only candidates that have announced runs. Turning to the weather now, first NOAA meteorologist Savannah Brito has a look at your certified most accurate forecast for the weekend. Savannah?
Thank you, Armand. Yeah, we're tracking a hot weekend overall. Sunday definitely going to be the warmer half of this upcoming weekend. 75, it's not bad in Madison when you factor in the heat index, though, and the dew points. That's what's kind of brutal outside, but those are only going to rise from where we're sitting right now. We've got plenty of 80s, 84 in Boscobel, 80 in Platteville, 83 in Lone Rock, 79 only in Waukesha. So there are warmer temperatures directly west of here. Black River Falls also sitting at 82 this afternoon. Most of us will see temperatures continue to climb. Areas west that are currently in the lower 80s, probably going to see the mid to even upper 80s. Here in Madison, I expect us to still get up another 8 or 9 degrees into the lower to mid 80s here. Once we get to Sunday and Monday, that's when the heat's really going to return. We have the red that returns for pretty much everyone across southern Wisconsin. That's a major risk from the heat. Air temperatures are going to get into the 90s. The heat index, though, is going to be even higher than that. So once we get into those 2 days, that'll be the hot stretch. We do have a less active pattern and finally a cool down. We'll talk about when relief is going to come back to southern Wisconsin in just a little bit, Armand.
Yeah, I like summer more than anyone, but it was too hot.
Same. Yeah, I'd rather deal with a heat index than a wind chill, but still 90s. When you get up into the mid 90s, it's too hot.
Definitely, Savannah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, President Trump headed to Scotland this morning with questions about the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files hanging over the administration. Convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell meets with the DOJ's second highest ranking official again today. CBS's Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
As President Trump left the White House for Scotland this morning, he did not want to talk about the Jeffrey Epstein files.
People should really focus on how well the country's doing.
As his DOJ interviews Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell for a second day.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if she's cooperating?
It's something I haven't thought about.
The meetings with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche are taking place in Tallahassee, Florida, where Maxwell is serving time for her conviction of luring and grooming teenage girls for sexual abuse. Attorney David Marcus says he's hoping for another productive day.
You know, we're grateful for this opportunity to finally be able to say what really happened, and that's what we're going to do yesterday and today.
The new interview with Maxwell comes as the administration is facing continued pressure, including by even some members of the president's own party, to release more information related to the case.
We want full transparency. We want everybody who was involved in any way with the Epstein evils, let's call it what it was, to be brought to justice.
President Trump this week has tried to change the subject, even making a rare trip Thursday to the Federal Reserve's headquarters as the administration has raised questions about the cost of its ongoing renovations.
So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Despite squabbling over numbers, President Trump said he had a good meeting with Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
I think he's going to start recommending lower rates.
The president also reiterated Thursday that he does not plan to fire Powell. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
And the Federal Reserve said in a social media post this morning that it was honored to welcome the president for a visit and was grateful for his encouragement to complete the renovation project. And the FCC has approved Skydance Media's $8 billion takeover of Paramount Global, clearing the way for the deal to close within weeks. Skydance CEO David Ellison pledged to add an ombudsman at CBS and not introduce new DEI policies, key conditions for winning support from FCC Chair Brendan Carr. Carr praised the move, saying it will help restore trust in CBS and ensure more ideological diversity in programming. Well, coming up next on News 3 Now at noon, McDonald's prepares to introduce a new drink lineup. Plus, rideshare company Lyft introduces a new feature on its app for customers.
Lyft has introduced a new feature that lets riders mark their favorite drivers in the rideshare app. If the driver they choose is available at that time, they are matched. The announcement comes a day after Uber launched a service that lets female passengers choose women drivers. McDonald's plans to test a lineup of flavorful new drinks in hundreds of U.S. stores. The fast food giant describes the beverages as cold coffees, fruity refreshers, crafted sodas, and energizing sips. They will first be available at restaurants in Wisconsin and Colorado in early September. And Guinness is teaming up with Van Leeuwen ice cream this summer for a creamy treat. The collaboration features Guinness-flavored ice cream mixed with chocolate chunks. Van Leeuwen has previously created new flavors with brands including Hidden Valley Ranch and Kraft Macaroni and Cheese. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
And here's a look at the current stock numbers. The Dow is up 126 points, the Nasdaq is up 77, and the S&P 500 is up 24. And our call for action volunteers are in the building taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. You can call for action at 608-270-2833 or submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call for action. Well, up next, Pam joins us with the farm numbers, and Savannah is back with the forecast. Then later on Live at 4, Madison Magazine's editor shares the ultimate guide to pickleball in the city. Well, welcome back. Pam Yankee, Farm Babe, joins us now with your Midwest Farm Report. Pam, you ready for the weekend?
I am, Armand. Actually, Saturday we take off on our Canadian Rockies farm tour, though. So 46 of my new best friends getting ready to experience slightly cooler weather up in Canada. Took a look at the forecast. We're going to be in, for example, Banff and Jasper, where temperatures up there are in the 70s. So little bit of a change of clothing, that's for sure, but it'll be a welcome break. I'll tell you what, county fairs are looking for a break from some of this weather, but I don't want that to deter you from enjoying our county fairs. Remember, the Rock County Fair, the Columbia County Fairs are going to continue through the weekend. Sherry Black, the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer at the Wisconsin State Fair, is ready for people to start showing up there. That's going to begin on the 31st of July. She said one thing you want to take a look at in the agriculture village is some of the improvements that they've made this year, specifically with better access into the barns and also monument signs to guide people through the ag village. Always a popular spot. Wisconsin Products Pavilion can kind of eat your way through Wisconsin agriculture. And fortunately, the state budget did include some funding for an analysis on some of the facilities at the Wisconsin State Fair Park. Black reminds people that one of the mission statements the Wisconsin State Fair must address is agriculture and agriculture education. So what they're going to do is use some of the money from the state budget to conduct an analysis specifically of the swine barn. They want to figure out if there's something they can do to enhance that facility, make it more user-friendly, not only for exhibitors, but also more inviting for the general public to come through and learn a little bit more about the swine industry. So that's one of the things that you can kind of keep your eyes open. They requested $4 million to start the engineering process and see what things would go on at that swine facility. So something you might want to investigate beginning July 31st over at State Fair Park. So again, the markets today feeling downward pressure as far as agriculture, our commodities, corn, beans, wheat. A lot of it just has to do with very good crop conditions. I do want to thank those dairy producers that have started to point out to me and for me that the changes in the federal milk marketing order are coming at a cost of their bottom line. Remember, Wisconsin's supplying milk not just into the state of Wisconsin, but beyond our borders. And that gets to be a tricky situation now with revised federal milk marketing order rules that came into place at the beginning of June. We're on it for you. Barrel cheese today down 3.5 at 162.5. 40-pound block cheese down 1/2 at 164. Double A butter did gain back 4.5 cents today, 2.46 cents per pound. And that'll do it for me, Armand. Now, I said as I travel across the Canadian Rockies, I'm going to do my best to send you folks at News 3 pictures, maybe a video update if I get a chance, just to make sure that you know I'm thinking about you, even if I'm not physically in front of the camera.
Oh, thanks. Make us real jealous about there. That sounds like a wonderful trip, Pam.
Yeah, it should be. I hope so.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a safe trip.
You bet.
And staying warm and humid for the weekend, maybe some storms as well, Savannah.
Yeah, Armand, we've got all of that. Definitely the heat and humidity, and that could pose a severe thunderstorm threat. We'll talk about which day in just a second here. This is what we're starting the lunchtime hour at: 76 in Madison, 78 in Monroe. We do have a lot of 80s, though, all west of Madison, 84 in Boscobel, 81 in Viroqua. But when you factor in the heat index, not everyone is seeing that out there, just a degree in Madison. But you can see some of us already feel like we're in the upper 80s. Boscobel's at 88, Lone Rock at 87, Wisconsin Dells, when you factor in the heat index value, 83. And these are only going to rise from where we're sitting right now the next couple of days. It's going to get hot, even hotter than what's in the forecast than what we saw a couple days ago. We're going to see those get back into the lower 90s, the temperatures both for Sunday and Monday. That's why we have alert days. So basically starting Sunday afternoon, we have an alert day in place and conditions. It'll continue all the way through Monday afternoon. Right now, there's no heat alerts across southern Wisconsin. I do expect the National Weather Service office to issue those, though. Everyone across southern Wisconsin is going to see those peak heat index values reach the upper 80s this afternoon for most of us. That'll be a similar suit tomorrow, but then Sunday, 90, that'll be the air temperature, and then our heat index up to 100. Monday, I think, is going to be the hotter day. It will depend on the storms, though. So similar to yesterday, if we're not able to see those clouds clear and no sunshine, I do think it's not going to be quite as hot as what's in the forecast right now Monday. I do think we'll see those clouds clear right now. It does look like we'll see some sunshine. So the air temperature that day getting up to 92, but the heat index could get up to 105. That's over the weekend. We are seeing some overall effects and lower air quality across southern Wisconsin. Most of us fall in the yellow. That's moderate with those values between 51 and 100. There are some of us, though, across southern Wisconsin, west and also east of Madison, that are in the orange. That's unhealthy for some, especially with lung disease. So just make sure that you're limiting a little bit of time outdoors. That's 101 to 150. We are seeing air quality alerts to upstate, central and northern Wisconsin, parts of southern Wisconsin too, Dodge County, and then areas towards Milwaukee and Kenosha, as well as Racine counties. So not quite in the Madison coverage area, DMA. That's more in Milwaukee's coverage area. We don't have that yet, and I don't think we'll see as low of visibilities or as big of a smoke cover and big impact to our air quality as those areas that are experiencing the air quality alert. I do think some of that light to moderate smoke will get into some of Dane County, but for the most part, you can see the yellow. That's more confined to areas like Waukesha, Milwaukee, Watertown, Juneau, and then up towards central Wisconsin, where they do have those air quality alerts for. And that does set to or should expire tonight, and then everyone's going to see that smoke mix out of here again. Humidity, that's not going away until after we get through the weekend. Once we reach Tuesday and Wednesday towards the end of this, that's when you'll notice those come down a little bit. I still think our dew points are going to be sitting in the mid 60s, but nonetheless a lot better than where we're sitting right now and what we will see over the weekend into early next week. A couple of spotty showers can't be ruled out. Might see that mist out there that'll affect the visibilities and drop them a little bit through the rest of the afternoon, but not a huge threat for widespread showers. We're not going to see that. I do think we could see pockets of heavy rain come into play tonight into tomorrow morning. It's mainly going to be south of Madison. I think some of us could see that track in Janesville, Monroe, Watertown, and areas near Waukesha, but most of us still look to stay mostly dry through the weekend. Sunday, that's a different story. We do have a marginal risk that is a low-end threat of severe weather, so we could see that mainly for strong winds, but the alert day is not for the storms right now. The bigger threat will be the heat that we're going to see building back for Sunday and Monday, at least right now. But Armand, looking forward to those mid-70s and upper 70s that we're going to see midweek next week. That's when we're going to see the relief.
There we go. Light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Exactly. Just have to get through the next couple of days.
Definitely. Savannah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And if you think of a thriving tree, you may picture a towering pine or a massive oak, but what about a tree that fits on a tabletop? The art of bonsai is experiencing a boom, growing in popularity. Bradley Blackburn explains why.
At the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, tiny trees are in the spotlight. The redwoods, cypress, and pines are all part of a new exhibit celebrating the 100th anniversary of the garden's bonsai collection.
The very first collection of bonsai imported from Japan to America.
Some are originals, well more than a century old.
This Japanese white pine is more than 300 years old.
Garden president Adrian Benepe says these remarkable small specimens need tremendous care, but they're huge hits with visitors.
I think it's part of the overall interest in things Japanese by Americans, and Japanese food and Japanese culture and Japanese anime and films and things like that.
The ancient Japanese art of miniaturizing trees is a growing global phenomenon. Worldwide, the bonsai industry is projected to nearly triple in size over the next decade. Many admire works pruned by professionals and want their own bonsai at home.
Hopefully have it for some years to come.
At Bonsai Bar, novices learn to repot, train, and even bond with trees some name like pets.
Becca the bonsai.
The 4-year-old company now hosts workshops in more than a dozen states.
This is not a bonsai, but this is.
Correct. These trees are the same species.
Instructor Jessica Catero showed us the basics.
That upward growth will start to make it look older. That'll start to give it more of a perspective.
But the most important lesson, get your hands dirty and don't worry about messing up.
It's a rite of passage to kill your trees, but you'll learn from that experience how to do better next time, and that's all any of us can do.
Finding a little zen.
So if I trim here, it'll branch out in other directions.
Yes.
And celebrating small victories.
Boom.
With a hobby and art that's thriving. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, Brooklyn, New York.
And any species of tree can be trained as a bonsai. I didn't know that. But Bonsai Bar says beginners have the best luck with tropical species like jade that can be kept indoors year-round. Well, up next, let's see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
When I say the cookies we're making today are one of my all-time favorites, you know they gotta be good. You know, we get the taste test recipes every day here in the Test Kitchen that we use in the news, on our website, and in our cookbooks. And as you can imagine, this means we've tasted lots of cookies over the years. So when I say the cookies we're making today are one of my all-time favorites, you know they gotta be good. For these chocolatey delights, we start by creaming some butter and sugar together until it's nice and light. Once it is, we beat in a couple of eggs. Then we slowly add in our dry ingredients. Some flour, cocoa powder, baking powder, and a little salt. Now, to ensure that each bite is really decadent, we toss in lots of chocolate chips and chopped pecans. We'll spoon the batter onto a couple of cookie sheets and bake them off until the edges are set and the tops are still a bit soft. After they cool on a wire rack, it's time to taste test them for yourself. What you'll find is a cookie that's a bit chewy, really chocolatey, and a little crunchy, all at the same time. They're so good, these might just become your new favorite too. To get the recipe for our double chocolate chewies, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a doubly good way for you to say, ooh, it's so good. You love your cookies.
Well, that does look very good. Thank you so much for watching News 3 Now at noon. Coming up next is The Bold and the Beautiful. Our next newscast is coming up at 4 p.m. You can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+. Have a great weekend, everyone.